Hello, everyone, and welcome back to stage 2 of the GA4 checklist walkthrough setup. This video is basically following on from our stage 1 GA4 kind of introduction and setup guide, I guess you could call it. We're just going to continue the same theme in this video, just kind of be a bit informal with it. It's going to be a case of going through the second stage of the checklist with conversion tracking, referral exclusions, audiences, and linking some other Google platforms. So I'm going to talk about those different things as we go, and hopefully try to give you some additional information as we go forward about why we're doing these things and what the purpose of these things are and things like that. Anyway, this is the slightly more technical side, where we have to do things like setting up conversion tracking, and thinking about things such as referral exclusions. But still, it's nothing to be concerned about. And the aim of this kind of walkthrough and this guide, really, and the checklist and kind of going through this, is to really try to kind of reduce that kind of fear, I guess, people have of GA4 and of setting things up, and to really kind of kind of relax everybody, really, that is potentially a bit worried about it, or anything like that. It's really nothing to be worried about, and it's pretty simple to set up and get along with. So without further ado, we're going to get started. So just as a recap, we've created GA4 property, installed on the website. We've done the data settings and Google Signals, and we've also linked that UA property with GA4. So now we're going to move on to stage 2 with the conversion tracking. So we're using this website, as you'll remember from stage 1, the stage 1 video. And in the dashboard of here, we've actually implemented the GA4 tracking. So we did that on the back end. We did that with GTM. We also showed you how to do that with code. So that's there collecting data on our website. And if you got to the end of stage 1, you will now be collecting information from users that are visiting your website. So you'll be getting the kind of normal standard information being collected in your GA4. So if we just go to our GA4 property, I'm going to go home, and you can see that we've had some data come through. So it's tracking people. And it's tracking interactions and basically behavior on our website, and that's populating the data in our GA4 property. One of the things to bear in mind is that sometimes with GA4, what we're going to be doing is that we do sometimes need to, well, from stage 1 to stage 2 in this, you might want to wait 24 hours before you start setting up conversion tracking, just to make sure you've got some data to play with, especially if you've got a website that gets a good amount of visitors each day. And I'll explain that more in a little bit. But to set up conversion tracking, one of the first things that we need to consider is that in GA4, we're no longer talking about goals. Now we're going to be talking about events. So goals are now events and conversions. So to have a look at these events, we need to go to admin, and just underneath data streams, you will see events. Now, if you've left your website there to basically collect data, Google Analytics 4 will automatically start recognizing and collecting certain events from behaviors that are taken on your website and actions that are taken on your website by users. So, for example, we know page view, it recognizes scrolls. So remember when we actually ticked and opted in to have those enhanced measurements and things, some of those are here as well. So form submit and form start, it's recognizing these things, these events. So what we can do straight away is, if we've got something which it's already recognizing, we can actually mark that as a conversion straight away. And then an event is what Google Analytics 4 will track and see, but you will define and you will select what your conversion is. So your conversion will be that valuable action. So your conversion is more about what goals used to be in UA, right, in Universal Analytics. It's our conversion, which is our like valuable actions. So that could be a form submission, it could be a purchase, it could be a completed registration for your event, whatever that valuable action, file download, whatever it might be, right? PDF download, that valuable action is going to be marked as a conversion. Now, what happens here is that, of course, we need to obviously specify and create customize events in order to create customized conversions. So one of the things that we've just got to remember is that it's always events before conversions. We need to create an event before we create a conversion, because that's basically how we do it in GA4. So we'll take an example of a common conversion that people will be obviously needing to set up. Would be something, say, like a thank you page view, right? So let's just pretend we'll go to our shop as an example, but let's pretend our shop is a, I don't know, B2B website, a business website, and you're getting leads, and we're going to go and fill in the form, and we're doing a test inquiry or whatever it might be. This form gets submitted, so you send the inquiry off, or the user sends the inquiry off, and what happens here is there's a page redirect which takes you to a thank you page. Now, thank you pages are commonly used to basically have a confirmation page or a thank you page are unique pages that are often used to it's a unique page view that you can use then to set up a conversion. So it's a page view because that people that view this page, they're only going to view this page if they've completed a form. So thank you pages are usually really good to use. So that's a really common conversion goal that people would need to set up. So in GA4, how do we set up a thank you page conversion? So first of all, we need to create an event. So let's go back over to GA4. Right. In GA4, on the properties, I'm just going to move myself over here so we can see. If you go all the way down, you will see debug view. So we're going to go to the debug view. And in the debug view, this will give us the basically a view that will allow us to kind of, interact with the website and see this data in almost like in a live view format, really. So what we would need to do, though, is open up our page in the Tag Assistant, so Google Tag Assistant, which so the new Google Tag Assistant, that is, as well, so the more recent version. So if I open a new tab to the right and just type in Tag Assistant, here we go, Google Tag Assistant, and you will see that I already have my domain connected for my fake shop. But if you need to add a domain, you can just add the domain and type in the domain that you want to go to here. But in this case, I can just connect my fake shop. And what this does, this will open the shop in a new window that will, basically, this will send the information. You can analyze this information in the Tag Assistant window, but it will also connect to GA4. So GA4 will be able to see this in the debug view. So then we'll be able to see what events are happening on the interactions that we're making on the site. So for example, let's fill in that form again, and let's just do that test inquiry. Let's pretend somebody's getting in touch with us for a lead for our services or whatever it might be. Submit, and you will see that the thank you page will load. So how does that look in GA4? And there we can see that we will start to see some of these events happening in the debug. So in this debug view, we should see that, we've got a form submit here. And that form submit is, check the page location, is on the contact, right? So we can ignore the debug, but it's on the contact page, right? So that's in the right location. We've just submitted a form. But actually, in this instance, we're not interested in that form submit. We're actually interested in finding that page view, because what we're looking for is to track that thank you page, right? And the thank you page view. So let's just wait for that to register and come through here. And hopefully it will come through quite quickly so that we're not waiting around for a long time. Oh, here we go. Oh, maybe not. Right, here we go. It's come through. So you find your page view, and then just to double check, if you will have these parameters. So you click the page view and these parameters will open up, so we can see, right, page location, and we can confirm that that page view happened on the page location of the thank you page. So what we need to do now is, I'm going to duplicate this tab just so I've got another analytic window, so we can just switch back and forth between the two tabs quite easily. But what I'm looking for here now is that I've got to set up and create a new event that's specific and customized for that particular page view. So I'm basically going to create a page view, but only for that thank you page. So if I pop back over to my other tab, we need to go to events, and then we need to go to create event. In create events, you will just go to the create button, and in here, I would, so with GA4 you'll have this lowercase kind of naming convention, basically, of or you know, everything's in lowercase. I'd stick with that, and also underscore as well. So for example, in this case, this is going to be a thank you page view, and here we're going to have the event name equals, well, the event was a page view. So if we just check back, we can see that the event name was page underscore view. So that's the event name. So we can put in the event name equals page view. But what we can also then put in is that we add another condition that the parameter would be page location. So I'm just trying to remember what this is at the tab. So page location, we can come over here, copy with the where the page location was. So the URL was, myfxshop.com/thank you. So we copy that. The page location, in this case, what I would suggest is starts with, and then I paste that. The only reason why I'd say starts with is just in case that for any reason, for any other tracking in the future that you might have, if anything is put on the end of that URL, like sometimes with URL strings and things like that. So anyway, yeah, page location starts with thank you, and then we can just click create. So we have now this new custom event name called thank you page view. Okay, so then we can close this down. Actually, we can leave this open. I've got my other tab open. So now we can go through this process again. So I've got my tag assistant window open, and basically I will just go through that process again. I mean, I could go through to the thank you page directly, but I'm not going to. I'm just going to say, well, here we go. Let's do another form submission. Let's go through and get redirected to the thank you page. And then from the thank you page, we'll just have to wait for, here we go, to come through. So this is seeing us now. So that's a session that we just had. So yeah, we went back to the contact page. And let's just wait for that one to come through. In the meantime, here we go. Right. So as you can see, it's now recognizing that we've set up that thank you page custom event. So that custom event is now triggering correctly. So once we've got this one, this thank you page view here, we've now got an event that we can use and mark as a conversion. Okay, so I'm going to go back to that other tab that we've got just for ease. If we go to events again and refresh this page, I'm just hoping that the thank you page view will appear quite quickly, but it's not going to. Okay, this is where I was saying about the 24-hour thing, is that sometimes your event might take 24 hours to appear. Okay, so when you've got, come back, let's say the next day or in a couple of hours to see if it's there. If it's there, all you need to do to select it is basically mark it as a conversion. So as soon as you see that thank you page view event that you just created in your events panel here, you just need to select it and mark it as a conversion, and then that will be your conversion. Then you set up a conversion for that particular custom event that you've just created. That's the method and the way to do it for using the GA4 interface. Now you can do a version with Google Tag Manager. Let me show you quickly how to do the same thing with Google Tag Manager. With Google Tag Manager, you will be in a situation where at the moment you've just had that, so you'll hopefully have this window, this tag assistant window, still open. So this thank you page or this form submit, right? Let's do it on the form submit. We've got this form submission here, which happened, and if we click over to variables, and we find on the variables, say, click ID we've got there, and the URL. Let's use that. So let's use or we can use the form ID actually. It should be the same anyway. Right, form ID, WP forms, form 66, right? So I'm just going to copy that. Go over to your Google Tag Manager account for your website. So in this case, My Fake Shop, and we're going to start a new trigger. And this trigger is going to be called, let's go for form, contact form, submit. And we'll go for the form submission trigger type. And we're going to go for some forms. And then we're going to scroll down and go form ID. If you haven't got those options here, like form ID and things like that, then you need to go to your variables and you need to select those. I'll show you how to do that in just a second. But we go to form ID, contains WP form 66, check for validation. What in another video that we did, I think it was for LinkedIn, I just showed you how to do it. Like, you don't have to check for validation if you want. If you put check validation, this just means that this will only fire, this tag will only fire, this trigger will fire when there's a successful form submission. Okay. So, for example, it's just asking me to kind of specify where this is going to happen. Well, this is going to happen on the contact page, right? So I could actually put page URL, and this could be on the contact page, which is this URL. There we go. And then it'll allow me to do that. Let's just save that. That's for my trigger. Then go to tags. Oh, sorry, I'll just show you those variables quick. To get those extra variables, you just need to go to configure, go to variables, configure, and then you just select the checkboxes of which ones you'd like to add. So by default, you don't have these added, but you can just add those to your Google Tag Manager container. Right, back to tags. So now we're going to build a tag for that trigger. So we can just call it GA4 form submit and its contact page. Stick with a decent naming convention. There's a Google in the featured tag types. There's a Google Analytics GA4 event tag type, so you can select that one. Configuration tag, we need to link it to our GA4 tracking all pages, and then with the event name, we can call it in lowercase again with underscores form submit, and then we can call it like TY page or whatever. So TY for thank you page, right? And then select the trigger. The trigger is contact form submit, this one. Save. And then we can go to preview again, which will take us back to the Google Tag Assistant window. I'll close these ones down for the time being, so we don't have too many open. And we can simply do the same thing again. Let's test this form, submit. Okay, to the thank you page. Right, over to your Tag Assistant window. Then on your Tag Assistant window, we should see that all the tags are fired that we've got on our account. But the one we're interested in is this GA4 form submit contact page one. So that has fired, but on the left, you can find out where it fired. So we tried to fire it on this, and we can see that it succeeded, right? So it's all good, right? So if you click on that, you will see that it matched our filters, I guess, really for why, what we've asked it to filter for, to fire for. So the form ID contained what we specified, and it was a form submit. Also, we did put that it happened, it was happening on that URL as well, as we added that in as well. And it was a successful completion of the form. So once you're happy with that, and if that test, it's all working, you can go back over to your Google Tag Manager container, and you then go to submit, put in a name like form event added, or however descriptive you want to be. Make sure you publish your changes to make sure that it goes live onto your site. And then back over in Google Analytics in GA4, you can see I've got 42 new events, and one of these should be, there we go, form submit TY page. So that's the one that we've just made, right? So we've set up a goal there through Tag Manager, a way to set it up through Tag Manager. We set up conversion tracking with Tag Manager for a form submission, but we're also tracking the thank you page as well. Okay, so essentially we're tracking the same thing. It's just that one, we're tracking a page view, the other one we're tracking the actual form, the process of the form being submitted. Right, so that's conversion tracking. Depending on obviously what you need to track and what valuable actions that you need to track on your site will depend on obviously what events you need to set up. But in the simplest of terms, that's how you would kind of set it up. So the easier method is obviously you can do it through the GA4 interface. I mean, yeah, I guess it's subjective which one's easier, but I like the Google Tag Manager method as well. But either way, essentially, they both pretty much are doing the same thing, is that you're specifying a custom event that you want to obviously send and for GA4 to recognize. Right, so if we go back to events again, I'm just going to refresh this. I can close my Tag Assistant window now, actually. So yeah, they haven't appeared here yet. So I check back in 24 hours, and once they appear here, when you see that event, you mark it as a conversion, and that's your conversion then, and that's all set up. Okay, moving on. Back to the checklist, we've set up conversion tracking. And now for referral exclusions. So with UA, one of the most common things that used to happen, and which a lot of people will know about is a problem and things. And any website really, you'll often need a referral exclusion, because there might be a I don't know, a certain kind of you might have a sister website, or like you might have a blog site that's on a different domain name. Um, a lot of the time it's because you have a third party payment gateway, or you have a third party provider for, I don't know, a booking system or something like that. But either way, at some point you'll need to have a look at referral exclusions. So it's really important not to forget about those once you go over to GA4, is that you do have to reset those up. So any referral exclusions that you've got in your old Universal Analytics, you should move them over and basically recreate them for GA4. Now, the most common one and the best example to give is PayPal, because it's a common one that people often have problems with. And basically what the issue is that you can stop from happening is if you have an e-commerce store and you're offering PayPal as a payment method, what often happens is the traffic, well, this is what the problem is the traffic source comes into your website. So whether that's direct traffic or organic traffic or paid traffic, so like PPC, Google Ads, or it's email marketing, any of that traffic source comes into your website, they complete a purchase, but to complete their purchase, they go to PayPal. So it takes them away from your website to PayPal. Once they've completed through PayPal, they return to your website. But if you don't have a referral exclusion in place for PayPal, then automatically Google Analytics and GA4 now still will start a new session for that user, even though they've just come from PayPal and just completed their purchase, right? So if you go from PayPal back to your website to say, confirmation page, your order is on its way, whatever it might be, that will start a new session. So what this means is in your reporting, you will get lots and lots of referral traffic from PayPal. So you will see that like PayPal has, made X amount of revenue for you in however long you're looking at in your data, in your date range, which is a problem because it overrides this traffic source, right? So we don't actually know where it came, whether it was organic or whether it was, from our email marketing efforts or whether it was from our Google Ads. So it overrides. So to stop this from happening, you add in a referral exclusion for PayPal.com, and what that does is then it will allow, or basically you're telling GA4 to understand that it's all the same session. Don't start a new session when somebody comes from PayPal. That's all it is. So that traffic source will go to your website, goes to PayPal to complete their purchase, comes back to your website, and it's still the same session. So that's what a referral exclusion will do, and it's really important. So it might not be PayPal, it might be Stripe, it might be another payment gateway. It might be, if you're an events business, it might be your third-party event registration service that you use. But either way, these referral exclusions are really important. So to set up a referral exclusion, you have to go to your data stream in the property panel, click on your data stream, and then go to configure tag settings. I'm going to move myself. Oh, sorry, I'm going to move myself back over here if it will let me. Having some problems with it. There we go. Let's just drop you over there. Right. Go to tag settings and then show all. And this will give you all the options and all the advanced settings. And then you just go to list unwanted referrals. And then in here, you just type in your domains that you want to refer. So for example, paypal.com, you can put it in, and there we go. PayPal's in there, right? Save. And you can then start to list your referrals. So like, if you've got most likely, if you're an e-commerce store, you have more than one because you might have a couple of variety of different ones. Like I said, whichever sources. One of the things to bear in mind as well, though, is subdomains. You don't have to no longer put subdomains into GA4 as a referral exclusion, because it's automatically recognized that a subdomain it's automatic with GA4. you no longer have to put subdomains in there because it's automatically recognized that a subdomain should be a referral exclusion, basically. Right, that's referral exclusions. Next one, back to the checklist. We've done referral exclusions. Next one is creating audiences. Now I'm just going to show you a really quick example of how to create a common audience that people would be, creating. What we need to do is then on this property, we need to go on the property panel, go down to audiences. And then in audiences, you will automatically, once you start collecting data, it will already start an all users audience for you, or at least it should do. And you just click new audience. And it's similar to how it used to be with UA, but it's slightly improved. Really, it could be argued. We have lots of templates that we can use. Different ones for shopping. There's also going to be predictive ones as well. Once you start to collect data, this feature will obviously become more useful if you've got more and more data in your account. But general ones, you've got some to choose from. To create a custom audience, let's go back to our shop and let's just think about a common audience that we could create. Like if we've got a shop, then perhaps we want to create an audience of people that have viewed a product, right? So if we go /product. So yeah, so let's create an audience of people that have actually visited a product page, right? So that doesn't matter what product it is, it's just people that have visited a product page and have, looked and viewed a product page. Create custom audience. And let's go product page view. And then we'll do just standard of last 30 days. So we can just, keep that over here. Add a new condition, and we will go for page view if we can find it, and add parameter and go page location, and I'd say begins with, what was it, or contains product. Go with begins with. So begins with product, and then so that will just basically include anybody that's actually viewed a product page, right? And we can apply. If you actually have traffic to your site, you should be able to see like a breakdown of how large that audience could be. Also, as well, is that you can actually set this to a custom membership duration. So if you've got a lot of traffic, you might want to set up things as low as kind of like 3 to 5 days, or 7 days of people that have, say, I don't know, visited the cart on your site in the last 7 days, but have not purchased. So just like with in UA, is just a different way of creating audiences, but the same premise still applies. Anyway, I've just created that simple audience of people, and then you can just save it, and then you can go through and create other audiences. So it's just a case of making those filters, and they just operate in a slightly different way than we're used to. And finally, the last two things are Search Console and Google Ads. So on your property panel again, you will have at the bottom the Google products or different Google platforms, however you'd like to call them. So first of all, with Search Console down the bottom here, so of course you've got others like Merchant Center and everything, but I'm just going to show you Google Ads and Search Console in this example. But essentially, Google Search Console, you click on the link button. You'll need to be logged in to the account that has access to whichever has to have access to that Google Search Console one that you have to link as well. So you have to choose that account. So in this case, I've got access to that Search Console of my fake shop. And then you just confirm, you add it, select your web stream. So it's that one, review and submit, and just go through that process. And then that link is created. All good. and it's very much the same process for Google Ads. It will be whichever Google Ads accounts are linked to that email address that you're logged in with at this time. So if you went to link, I don't have any link to this one at the moment. So as you can see, there's no results found, but it's the same thing basically, is that you go through that process of linking Google Ads. You would choose the Google Ads account, select the one that you need to link, and then just go through that process and finish just like we did before. So that brings us to the end of this checklist. So we've done the Search Console and we've done Google Ads, and there we go. We're finished. So we've completed this checklist, and at the end now we've got all of the kind of basics in place to not only start collecting data with GA4, we're set up to retain that data for as long as possible. We've got Google Signals switched on to make sure that we can actually make use of Google Ads and remarketing and things like that, as well as allowing Google to more easily give us kind of valuable data and match data with users and tracking and things. We've set up conversion tracking, set up some basic conversion tracking. So things, common things that websites will have to have, like, a thank you page view or a form submission. We've added the referral exclusions and created some audiences, and then we've linked it to some of our key accounts as well. And then within that, we've also covered a few additional things as well. So I hope that's been really helpful. We've obviously got some supporting information as well, and some supporting things on our articles on our blog, as well as other videos that might be of use to you, so which we'll obviously put in the description or include them in this video. But hopefully that was helpful, and yeah, good luck with GA4. And look, it's all going to be fine, and yeah, we're going to before we know it, everyone will be using GA4, and we won't really remember too much about Universal Analytics in no time at all. So yeah, thanks everyone, and I hope that was helpful, and see you again soon.